Welcome back to marketing. Today we're going to be looking at Chapter 7, Communication Channels. So we've already checked out the process, the marketing process in restaurants. We've learned a little bit about how to understand the market environment, what's going on around us. We've also looked at customer behavior. How do customers buy? What encourages them to buy? We've looked at how to prepare a marketing plan. We've learned how to set menu prices. Now we're going to talk about how are we going to get our message or our promotions out to our target audience and those that we want to come into our establishment. If you'll join me there on page 152, we're going to begin with Communication Channel Overview. Now, the restaurant and food service managers must develop good products, price them properly, and establish excellent service standards. Remember, service is an intangible. You can't put money on service like you can your features or your menu items, but you can definitely reach your base, encourage your base, and meet the needs of your customer base if you give them good quality service. That will give them the idea or the impression it's added value to what they're purchasing from you. So it definitely is added value. So you must also communicate to potential customers about your establishment, and to do that you have to develop a marketing plan that guides your communication efforts. Now, this plan involves determining the establishment's communication channels, which is means by which you talk to your customers. Again, this is what this chapter is about. How are you going to talk to your customers, okay? The first thing before you do anything is you got to think about the purpose of your message. Is this going to be a BOGO offer? Is this going to be an advertisement to communicate your grand opening? Is this going to be a way to send out coupons? I mean, you've got to think about the purpose of the message and your desired response. Is your response going to help increase revenue? Is it going to just, generate a special to get more people in? Either way, you have to understand the purpose of your message. You also have to determine your desired response from that message. All right, so let's take a look at what's important in a message. First, you've got to get your customers' attention. You've got to figure out how to get their attention. Then you have to, the interest. What interest is the audience going to have in your message? The other thing is the desire. Create a desire for the product or the service. And then, of course, action. What type of action are you going to prompt the audience to take when they see your message? Now, in addition to the message itself, you have to consider a few other message-related factors. That's going to be the promotional messages of your competitors. You definitely, you want to think outside the box. You want to again, just like your business, you want to set yourself apart. You want people to notice your message above your competitors' messages. But also you have to make sure that you are following that truth in advertising. There is a thing, and it is a legal thing. You have to have truth in advertising. Don't advertise something that you're not going to have or something that is untruthful. Also, you want to make sure that your message stays in alignment with your brand. You would not put out, I know throughout this whole course, I've talked about the Chuck E. Cheese. You would not put out a message that doesn't relate to kids or something like that if you're Chuck E. Cheese. So you need to remember that. Did you need me? Chef Doll just walked in. Y'all want to say hi? Say hi, Chef Doll.
Hi, how's everybody?
Trust me, we are working behind the scenes, and it is definitely a challenge for us as it is for you as we transition to this online. So, again, we love you guys. We miss you guys.
We miss you. We miss having your faces around.
Absolutely.
Question, I got to bother her
yes.
for 2 seconds. You're going to watch. How do they submit the test? Like, how did they do they just have to download it and...
They either, if it's a file, if you give them the option of file, they need to download it and then submit it to you. They'll have to figure out either scan it in, email it, whatever, to get it back to you.
Okay. Then they'll just
or remember, if it's where you have it where you can submit online through Moodle, they can just put your answers, the number and the answer. Okay. All right. So anyway, no worries, Chef. Anytime. So anyway, you want to make sure that your message falls in line with your establishment, the branding of your establishment. Now, you want to make optimal use of your communication channel. Now, what does that mean? That means you want to make sure that you're choosing the right channel to get that message out and that you're maximizing on that. All right, I'm not going to go into a whole lot. We know what direct mail is. Let's talk about traditional communication channels. You know, we kind of, honestly, I'm old enough to know and have to recognize how our communication channels have changed. When I was a kid, there was not everybody carrying around a computer in their pockets. There wasn't Facebook. There wasn't this whole social media atmosphere. There wasn't Instagram. We received messages via the newspaper, television, radio. That was pretty much about it. Or randomly coupons would show up in the mailbox. So mail, that would be direct mail. Now you guys have the option of so much more. So again, traditional communication channels are like print. If you choose print, you need to remember, keep your layout simple, keep your message clear, and that's important in anything you do. You need to have your message clear and concise. Everything needs to be clear and concise. Too much fluff or too wordy, which I definitely tend to be wordy. I am a talker, and it takes me forever to get to a point. But you need to be direct, clear, and concise. You don't want your customer to lose your message within all the other words that they're having to weed through to get to it. You need to stress benefits. I want to look at that. Customers buy features to gain benefits. So make sure you're making the benefit clear, okay? BOGO, buy one, get one. The benefit's clear. You're gonna buy one and you're gonna get one. Bottom line, how clear is that? Very to the point. Use pictures when possible, okay? So we love word images. So make sure that use pictures when possible. Graphics are great. Include picture captions, especially if your picture is kind of unclear as to what it's representing. And always use color. Today's a color world. Don't do a black and white print ad. It's color stands out. Black and white hides. And the biggest thing is make sure you proofread any message. I don't care on any media outlet, any channel that you decide to use. Make sure it's clear. And track the response. Make sure you have a measurable way to track your response. That's important. That's the whole point of creating a message. It's either to increase revenue, attract more customers. So make sure you have a measurable way to reach or to identify that goal, or that goal's been reached. Now let's talk about broadcast. Broadcast is your radio and television. Media that were originally broadcast over airways. Of course, you have to make sure that you are monitoring and that you are part of the Fair Trade Commission, that everything's in line with that. You want to make sure that your advertising is truth and non-deceptive. You want to make sure that you have evidence to back up any of your claims and that your advertisements aren't unfair. So keep that in mind. The FTC is an agency that regulates various aspects of food advertising. So one example that comes to mind, don't put up a picture of something that someone else has done. Well, that would be copyright, but let me back up a little bit. Maybe don't put up a picture of this flamboyant, luscious hamburger. And I know I keep going to hamburgers, but this gourmet burger, this big, bold, beautiful, and then the customer comes and purchases it, and it looks like a McDonald's hamburger. There you go. So make sure that there is an agency that regulates that, and make sure that you are advertising, or you have truth in advertising. Okay. A spot is typically 15 or 30 seconds. That's what a spot is. Typically 15, 30 seconds. Broadcast time period. All right. The popularity of the station broadcasting spot. Typically that's going to be your prime time or something like that. And you can read all of that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that plays into that. Time of day, the number of viewers who will likely see it, number of spots purchased at one time. You can go all into that. Let's look at radio. Radio, you need to get the listener's attention immediately. That's kind of like these videos that I'm doing for y'all's lectures, right? I probably lost you after the first 5 minutes, but that's okay as long as you're watching it and you're getting the material. Actually reading through the book and looking at the lecture. You need to get your listeners' attention immediately, because with the radio, there's no visual to keep them hooked, okay? So if you don't verbally get their attention, they're gone. So just keep that in mind. And when you're doing radio commercials, you got to picture the listeners, okay? And then, of course, read it out loud prior to broadcasting. You guys are going to call me crazy, but I'm reviewing everything before I come to you online. So that's not to say, you don't have a flub or two, but you don't want to keep going over and over. Summarize your message and make your ad stand out. Television, of course, you're going to choose your programming partners carefully. You're going to look professional because you are going to be in the visual eye of your potential target market. Understand reach and frequency. Know what channel it is, what frequency it is, the reach, how far does it go. Show, don't just tell. Okay, so television, you really need to show. A lot of your TV ads, they will have pictures. Someone's not just sitting there talking to them like I am you now. So make sure you have visuals and things to keep their attention. Mail, guess what? Mail is pretty self-explanatory. Handwrite your addresses. You know why you want to handwrite your addresses? People are likely to open them if they're handwritten. If they're pre-printed and they look like they're a mass mail production, they're just going to toot, or at least I know I do. Use colored envelopes. Use real stamps. Keep a consistent look. And I'm going to tell you, consistent look, that's going to go from start to finish. When you create your logo, your branding, your everything, your colors, it needs to follow through with everything you do inside of your establishment. It gives you a professional look and a polished look. So make sure you carry that through. Snail mail, we call it snail mail now because guess what? You can put out a message in a heartbeat on radio, television, social media, internet, whatever. And the mail takes how long now? Forever. All right, so I'm not going to read the pros and cons there. We're going to talk a little bit about the internet. Of course, you've got websites. The one thing I want to kind of share with you in marketing in particular, and this will follow through business management and owning a business, you need to go ahead now, if you're thinking about using the internet for a business base, okay, for your business, you got to think your website is that's your informational hub. That is where you have your menu, you put your specials up. That's where people know who you are, where to find you, and you're showcasing your establishment. Now, Facebook, okay, is a social outlet. That's where you can communicate with your customers and your different folks like that, your potential audience. That is your social outlet. Instagram is typically used to showcase the best of the best. That is a portfolio, if you will. So what you need to always do in any good strategist is on Instagram showing the best of the best, but they're linking them to the website. They're having them visit the website to make reservations, to order, to find out more about a particular item or a sale or special or whatever. Facebook is doing the same thing. It is always pointing back to that website. Now, you're able to communicate here. Hey, we have a great special, go check it out or whatever. So kind of start thinking in those lines. Unless now there are a lot of small businesses that are using Facebook as their website platform. But you got to remember, not everybody Instagrams, not everybody Facebooks. Everybody gets on the internet to do research. So just kind of think that, and when you're setting up your social media or your internet presence, you need to think about how are you going to link everything and where are you going to put everything, okay? So that's just something to think about there. I'm not going to read all that to you. We know email, we know social media. The one thing again, talking about social media and social media networks, individuals can stay electronically connected for reasons that include friendship, common interests, romantic relationships, or shared knowledge. In our world, we stay in contact with our customers, okay? The food industry, we want to stay in contact with our customers. And then we want to reach out to new customers. So that's primarily how we in the restaurant industry would use social media. Now, in social media, visitors can look at your social media and learn about new and exciting things happening. You can do lives, you can do promotions, you can do, all kinds of things on social media, so I don't need to go into it. You can show descriptions, weekly specials, articles. You can have, like Chef Doll just bounced in. How awesome was that? You can showcase special artists or people or famous guests who come into your establishment. You can actually solicit for your future employees if you're wanting to put out a job post. Again, there's just so much. Coupons, there's so much you can do. Now, cell phone apps. I think cell phone apps are awesome. A cell phone app we know what apps are. Everything we use today pretty much uses an app. I think if you're gonna run a special, I know I want to say Brewster's. Every time I go get a turtle ice cream, I get points to earn free ice cream. Again, an app is a great way. Maybe they can make reservations, or you have a customer loyalty program on an app. There's so many things to think about there. Anyway, I think that pretty much takes care of chapter 7. So hopefully I've given you some stuff to chew on, to think about. Again, I want to remind you, I'm going to remind you after every chapter, submit your review, your learnings, all right? Those are, you need to be studying those. Those are your guide to your final, okay? They pretty much, your final is going to come from the review your learning. So make sure you submit those to me so that I can look at them, grade them. Now that grade does not go into your final grade calculation. When I say I want to grade them, it's just to make sure that your answers are correct, and if they're not, let you know so that you're not studying the wrong information. The other thing, make sure you're doing that daily case study question. That is your attendance, okay? If you do not submit that daily case study question on the day that it is due, then you are marked absent for that day. And our absences add up every day, just like they do if you were here in class. So make sure you do that. I think other than that, you guys are really doing great. You're grabbing on to this online learning, and I know with just a little bit more, you'll be a pro at the whole Moodle thing. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. Y'all have a great day. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. All right, I'll see you for chapter 8. Bye-bye.